So we're talking about sacramental cannabis in 2023, spiritual and religious use of cannabis. Discuss legal, cultural, and ethical aspects of sacramental cannabis.
Yeah, greetings everyone. My name is Astor Black. I am a television producer. We have a TV channel, Bob Arts Television, and it circles Jamaica, and it's on YouTube, Bob Arts TV. Ganja is the indigenous word for our sacramental medicine. But being sacramental doesn't mean that we cannot make it commercial. Because like the ministries approve sacramental marijuana, when before they realized that we use our ganja for sacramental reasons, for medicine, for everything that's culturally and spiritually guide. So, and then we sell the rest. Because when we grow in ganja in those days, we grew a lot of ganja. And we export ganja, we send our children to school, we make money from ganja. But now we find the Jamaican government restrict our use of ganja, which is both sacramental and commercial. See, they tell us how much ganja we should plant. They regulate us now, but in the past, we were not regulated. We were not allowed, but allowed to grow as much as we want. We export some, we sacramentally use some, and then the police would take some. See, the police would raid our plants. And today, they regulate it so that it is them to get the massive share of the industry, while I just get the little 5 plant here and the little sacramental. I mean, we're supposed to smoke our brains out with the sacramental side of ganja. And the commercial part of it, now they will get to export, they get to make the money off of ganja, when it is not supposed to be so. Because during the early days, we used to make money, send our kids to school and all of that. So that's what my vibes on the sacramental side.
And the spiritual aspect of sacrament, for me, I would call a communications tool for the indigenous people. It's kind of like what you use for your Wi-Fi bars to get more bars. Why does ganja give you a stronger power of communication with yourself? Is because we have at least 2 minds. We have the universal mind, we have the human mind, and then we have an individual mind that's only made from you're 7 years old. We call it your ego, sense of who you are, yourself, your identity. With ganja, is somehow this plant is able to temporarily suspend your ego mind to a level. And when your personality is suspended in that mechanism, you're allowed to see more deeply your relationship with all of the surrounding environment. All of the natural environment, the plants and animals are more obviously your community and not your resources. You're living conscious beings with plants, birds, animals, even crystals have a level of intelligence on their level. So with sacrament, The reason why we call it a religious connection is not because we need it to speak to a God. It's because as we apply the mechanism, we discover a more sensitivity to the godliness within our own self. We're not talking up into the sky. We're reaching inward. And the sacraments allow us an easier, smoother, inner connection.
And you know, I like reasoning, seeing. So if anyone want to jump in and ask a question or do something, it's bring a better vibe, seeing. So I just don't. I look at the commercial side of our sacrament, you know, whereas I form a political party named Jamaica Alliance Movement, and that was to take the form of bringing Rastafari. Rastafari is the creator of reggae music, and it's like always you get the vibes of ganja to create songs, create everything. It's just a smooth vibes. You can communicate better with people who smoke ganja. See, it's a level vibes. And my mission for creating a political party is to get all indigenous people here. Rastafari is the indigenous people for reggae music, for ganja. Because when people ask for ganja, it means the brand Jamaica. Ganja is synonymous to Jamaica. See, so it's like when these people, Peter Tosh used to get beat every day for ganja. Nowadays, it's like the powers that be allow us to, sacramental. When the further gains is real commercial part of it. 'Cause I'm a banana farmer and I can only eat so much banana, the rest I have to sell. And that's the same thing with ganja. The rest we have to sell. See, so, trying to get all Rastafari to come together to take the reins of government here in Jamaica. Because in the last election, only 47% of the people vote for the JLPNP. Because they're one type of people. They just run to become the government for this time and then the other one. But 53% of the people who can vote in Jamaica did not vote because they didn't get the concept of that kind of government. I need to come together now to form the righteous government. That way we can approve things that are more common to all indigenous people, all Rastafari. All who didn't vote for them, I look at them as Rastafari because they have the culture, they have the vibes. See? So, any questions?
Can you guys speak more to the mushrooms, psilocybin mushrooms? Because I know sometimes that's used for sacramental use.
Mm-hmm.
I was asking if you can speak to the psilocybin mushroom. I know sometimes that's used for sacramental use, as well as the place of reasoning. Because I know the Jewish people do that same kind of going back and forth of reasoning, and that is part, I would think, of what we do in the sacramental process. Can you more speak to those two things as well?
I'd like to speak on space, sacred space. more so than what you use for the altered state consciousness, because music, as you said, there's mystery and magic in Jamaican music that puts you into another altered state of mind. Jamaican food, nutmeg and cinnamon in Jamaica will alter your state of mind. But when you get altered, then what? So as he's saying, if there's a unified space where there's love and beauty, and people have intentionally come together to seek guidance for a tribe, for a pathway to economic freedom and economic self-reliance, that will still come out of the sacred space. So mushrooms, peyote, iboga in Africa, ayahuasca, and all these only lead to opening your heart and mind connection temporarily to give you clear vision, and it also unifies diverse personalities, languages, genders into one sacred space. It's not permanent. So you return, we call it religion because you return and do it again. You do it again. So Jamaica, we're poised because we do have legal right to declare Rastafari and Maroon sacred space. Once we're in those sacred spaces, we can work with as much medicine as we please, transporting our medicine from here to the sacred space in Canada. We haven't worked that part out. I feel we're getting closer, that we don't have to go to America with our sacrament, because there are red, gold, and green, Korea, Asia, Africa, red, gold, and green flags except in so many places. So without even using America, we still can export ganja products, including building materials, one day from Jamaica outside Jamaica. So I think we're on the right track, but unity amongst our own Rasta community and our expectations will challenge our own personal expectations and letdown and frustrations. We're working on doing it.
What do you say about mushroom? Why you're more into mushroom than ganja?
I'm just trying to understand, because I know I've met some Rastas that do both. Some that don't smoke it and they drink the ganjas and tea. And so I'm trying to understand the connections of all the psychedelics as part of that sacrament, that
Well,
part of the holy, trying to enter into the transcendence.
I'm not really into mushrooms, seeing, because I find pleasure in ganja, and I'm not the one to experiment on other phase. So I just stick with what I know and what I'm comfortable with.
Thank you. I just wasn't sure if it was a both thing. Thank you.
Can you speak up?
I'll try to project.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I have a question. You're talking about sacred spaces. It may not be a question that you have an answer to now, but you're talking about politics. And will it be possible at some point to be able to get the government to recognize sacred spaces that will allow for the expression of sacramental rights? Is that a path towards making sure that these sacred spaces are honored and recognized by the government?
Presently, we have our tabernacles, where we have different events like the Battle of Ottawa, Haile Selassie Earth Strong, different Nyabingi reasoning. All those areas are a safe space, are all sacramental spaces. So no Babylon come and intrude on us there. But if we are allowed to carry some herb with us now, like 2 ounces and things, but out of these little spaces, we have no rights. We have the rights of everyone else, you know.
So how then are those sacred spaces limited to these areas, or friendly or other sacred spaces created?
The Ministry of Justice govern that side of the order. Whereas if we create a tabernacle or if we have a concert where we get a right to sell cannabis or ganja there. So we have spaces where we apply to have a concert here, and then we're allowed to have a ganja curb.
And is it for just that period of time?
Yes,
Or
like
just that period of
a
time?
one-day event.
So then is there a process that Rastafari can go through so that sacred spaces are sacred spaces and the government recognizes that?
All our tabernacles.
Just beyond those, if you wanted to establish another space, what would be that process?
You have to register under the Rastafari banner. You know.
And then those spaces can be established in other locations?
Yes, everywhere.
And they would also receive the same protection
Yes.
as the others?
Yeah.
There is a structure within the Rastafari community, the 12 mansions, and there is a structure where spaces grow and develop and recognize, and so that is happening. It's not. If you're asking how does a couple or a family who chooses the lifestyle, lifestyle, protect their right, has the 5 plant thing as a normal citizen, how does your spiritual thing happen privately? That hasn't been well worked out yet, but we're working on annexing satellite groves, small farms, connected to as he said, the Rastafari system. But organization for that is still lacking, yes.
How can we build that organization? What do we need to do? I mean, is it getting in a car and finding all the brothers and sisters and getting their information and building that network?
Well, the minister spoke on every different communities. He had about 60-something communities where we can, as small farmers, work together to market to a bigger entity for processing and so on. So within those communities now, small farmers working together, there is then can be recognized as a safe area.
My concern with that, though, is that you have to be very careful when you're working those legislation out, because you don't want to force the small farmer to only sell to that mother farm. That is my concern. They again, like you get a Monsanto effect, where they dictate everything. And they were even talking about yesterday about how that mother farm would provide the building blocks, i.e. the seed. So then now we're going to start, patenting ganja seed, right? Like that's a rabbit hole we don't want to go down.
And that will be on the table when negotiating that, because the government find Rastafari who will sacrifice their liberty to what the government wants. And we find even now, one Rastafari lady, she's here. She is now personal liaison with Rastafari and the government, which Rastafari bona fide upon that, because how can you be a liaison between Rastafari and government? I mean, Rastafari make the plans, deal with the issues, and then take that to the government direct. But we find liaison kind of whitewash things to make it go. So we have an issue with that right now. And a gentleman just walked in here a while ago too. He was on the CLA board. And right now, Rastafari in general is saying that what did he do to bring us closer to proper negotiation with government? We see the leader of the opposition party right now, Mark Golding, holding hands with Rastafari because he was able to get us to grow 5 plants and get us to be only sacramental in a certain area. And Bonnie Wheeler and one other Rastafari will. So I played the Queen's national anthem under the picture and put it on my TV. And because they would go on the radio and burn big fire at me. Say, shouldn't play the Queen's national anthem behind these royal Bonnie Wheeler and the Mark Golding and things. I say, Mark Golding represent the Queen of England. So I play the Queen's national anthem because that's what he was doing. It was, the picture come out years later to show that Rastafari agree with Mark Golding by holding a reverence. And that's why I play, that's why I play the Queen's national anthem. Because we've been burning European government for all these years and we see the bridge in the whole order. So that's why I play the Queen. What? Yeah.
Politics is very interesting. In order for us to progress, there are times that we have to find a way to collaborate, to do whatever we need to do to move forward, or strategize in such a way that the mission can move forward. So we realize that the Roman Catholic Church is where it's located, but there are Roman Catholic Church all over the world.
Yep.
Why can't that happen with the same Rastafari utilize that same concept to spread its wings as well?
And we do have that. We have Rastafari in every Caribbean island.
With the sacramental space is what I'm focused on.
Yeah.
To be able to have that autonomy by expanding itself into other areas where those sacred spaces can be honored. That's a way to kind of spread just like the Catholic Church.
And it is happening. Because in every Caribbean island you have a Rastafari tabernacle. In Africa, Panama, all over. And
if I wanted to, excuse me, I want to get to a specific question in terms of if I wanted to create a sacred space where I am, what would that process be?
you have
is there? If there's none, but I would like to know if that person, I would like to have a sacred space.
okay.
So what would I have to do?
You have to create, will it be for you or a community of Rastafari? Yeah. Then you register a company in the name of your name, but it under the Rastafari plan.
Okay, so if I already have a company in place now, what do I do? How do I take that company?
The Ministry of Culture, Minister of Justice, he's the one who grant that license, that permit.
So I'd have to go first to the Rastafari priest and get that. How would I bridge that gap? No.
Yes, it'd be good to come. Where are you based?
In Montego Bay here.
All right. Have you ever been to the Pitford Nyabingi Center?
I have not been there, but I just learned about it.
Okay, so that's our closest one in Granville. There you'll introduce yourself and form a bond. And then create your own space now. And you might find some what happened is like each celebration, a Bingy house have the order to do that, celebrate like Haile Selassie birthday, the coronation, and the Battle of Adwa, different. So you will get then the opportunity to host one of those events. So all the Rastafari community will come to your space, tabernacle, and then we all move to the next tabernacle for the next event. So, and if you say you want to have a reasoning, any day, anytime, you can invite the whole Rastafari family to come to your space for a reasoning on health or see.
No one would interfere with that, but Sacramento can't start with, can I sell weed? That's not a Sacramento conversation. It's where do we put the drums? How do we purify the water? Who's going to eye towel the food? Who's watching over the children so they have a wholesome space? You know, that is the Sacramento community. It's not who can sell weed. Imagine if you get caught, busted with 2 pounds of the smelliest ganja you can come up with. You go to court, you're convicted, guilty. What do you think the maximum punishment for that is? Anyone know? The maximum punishment, guilty, 2 pounds of weed in your car, 150 US, maximum. You cannot go to jail, you cannot get a record, because it's a fine. So to stop doing Sacramento culture, to avoid a $150 fine, and have a discussion for 6 years about it, all you have to see, the difference with women to me and men, is that the mothering nature of women will create natural, wholesome spaces. Men will create arguments, reasonings, and demands and frustrations in meeting after meeting after meeting. I've been in Jamaica for 18 years. I'm born in Brooklyn. I've been to meetings in Rasta camps and Maroon camps. I don't see the resistance from the outside anymore. I see the resistance from the inside. I don't see anyone raiding. Of course, if you have a farm load and you don't pay the right police, it's corruption. But if you're just a family, like he said, you're putting together wholesome space, music, drums, Africa, motherland, red, gold, and green, love, peace, who's going to interfere with that? And who cares how much you eat, bake, and share in medicine? But if you say I want to go to Winter Village and put a red, gold, and green sign on mine, and I want the Justice Department to allow me to make commercial sales, tax exempt, that's going to be complicated. We're not there yet as a country. We can't tax ganja here, so we can't sell it. We can ask for contributions. Yes.
Question. So in America, when people form temples, places of worship to have the sacraments, many times they come out of the orthodoxy and create a new version, a neo-Pentecostal thing. Is there such a thing to create, or is there room within Rastafarianism to have like a neo-Rastafarianism temple where maybe a woman would lead that? Is there room for that within the Rastafari movement to be able to have the sacraments and do those things as a temple?
Well, you can't reinvent Rastafari or Rastafari evolve into something else. Rastafari is roots and it has its rules and regulations. Where, do unto others as you like them do unto you, the sick nourished, the aged protected, the infants cared for. So out of that is something else. So Rastafari is pure and it, like I say, it cannot evolve. So with that in mind, to go around that principle to form something else like you're asking, is not within the realms of Rastafari.
The indigenous of the states, America, when they went to battle with the Justice Departments there, they won what they called reservation rights. So they can do peyote and cannabis and mushrooms, but on what they call the Indian reservation, or the native reservation. The reservation rights led to casino rights. And those casino rights led to billions and billions of American dollars, still within so-called the rights of an indigenous Sacramento community. So Jamaica's Sacramento community can amass billions of dollars in revenues, but we have to begin with the foundation of unity amongst ourselves. Right now, it's hard to say how to Rasta in Jamaica, because one Rasta may raise goats, another one may say, bonfire on a meat eater that eats anything with eyes. And that's so, but when it comes to the emperor and the message, it's very clear. There's very clear writings that give proper guidelines for setting up communities that can be self-sustaining, self-reliant, take care of the women and children as a priority, and grow. These things are set up in Ethiopia. Ethiopia was never colonized in history by an external force, successfully. So we have models of breaking colonialization. But it still has to begin with our internal friendships and love between us as the Rasta community. And I don't see any obstacle except for ourselves. Yes, there are laws, but inviting people to the experience in Jamaica, we still have billions to make in just that. Just in providing the space here to come have ITAL. But what is an ITAL grower? Where's your Sacramento herb coming from? What's the standard of growing ganja in Jamaica so that we are abiding by the health and spiritual practice of the accepted Rastafari community? Just like they have kosher and halal, we need ITAL as a brand that describes ganja you can trust. If you find it in Canada or Korea, you know it came from the ITAL Rastafari Maroon community of Jamaica. One day that will be a preferred over all other medicines because the trust of your brand is not laced with drugs and fillers and pesticides and herbicides. ITAL is a respected brand. We're growing, but we also have to involve the women and the children's intellectual input into this growing. If it's going to be a man-led growth, dependence, then we're going to be back at the Justice Department arguing with men like the senator. Like that was, to me, it was just like what they call a pissing contest that men do. The banker guy, just where he's been, what he's done, how many hours. We're right here, though. We're just right here. And we have our children right here. My daughter lives right here. So if I have 60-something rivers in Jamaica, free Sacramento, unlimited access in my Rasta community spaces to grow, nurture, protect, process ganja, then why are the daughters of Jamaica in fear of poverty all day long? That we can work. The Sacramento community has the power to set ourselves up to receive the billions coming in before we export it.
I've, been aware of and been a follower of Rastafari since I was a little kid in the 70s. And, my uncle used to smuggle for you guys.
Public service.
He did. He came down with his sailboat. But one of the things that I see, and in my very small, narrow, because I bought a piece of land and I've been on the farm digging in the dirt ever since, which is wonderful. But what I'm seeing is fear. And I feel like this discussion is going to be generational, and has been. But now that we have the legalization, you have other countries in the Caribbean legally recognizing Rastafari and giving them rights around that, similar to the Native Indians in North America. It's the children. So what you're saying is absolutely correct. It's educating the children so that this generation coming up can really empower change. Because the people right now have been persecuted, hurt, damaged, and they're afraid. You know, most of my Rastafari friends that I know, they don't want to talk to anybody. They just want to be left alone and to be in their place of peace. And so they don't want to step up. They don't want to have their voice heard. You know?
Yeah, and that's why I particularly stepped out and created a Rastafari political movement of good people. Because right now I'm even advocating for priors to come out of the schools. Because what we're doing is indoctrinating the children to be afraid of the word ganja. And Rastafari has always been a family, whereas the children even cleaning the herbs before they go to school. So it has always been that family ties. But now because of the fear of ganja being regulated as licensed product, it make everyone afraid of even speaking ganja, when ganja is the indigenous word for our sacrament. And before the licensing come into being, and it's all about North America, ganja license. It was illegal. But while ganja was illegal, more ganja farmers made money before it became. Now all we're doing is running after a license. We should not need a license to grow ganja in Jamaica. It's our indigenous rights to grow ganja as much as we want. We smoke some, but we can't smoke our brains out being sacramental. We have to smoke some, make tea, edibles, but the rest go into commercial realms. And that's where we have to fight for. We have to fight now to make it legal for Rastafari to continue the journey of ganja. Because when people come to Jamaica and ask for marijuana, it's like nothing. But you ask for ganja, you know it's a real ganja from Orange Hill or St. Elizabeth. See, that's where we have to go. Personally, I grow ganja in a greenhouse, but I don't like it. But it's a commercial way of the license. Somebody transport you, if you have outriders transporting the ganja to the herb house and things. But I'm not into that. I love my naturally grown ganja. See?
And we have a right to share it with our other family members that love it. And we're indigenous people, we're not asking permission. Don't get us wrong. We're not waiting for permission. The government will continue to be stressed about us and will be frustrated with us because we're not asking permission, we're declaring our continued right to grow medicine.
Mm-hmm.
They're still calling it drug. Yes. Introducing Ras Ayali, very important figure in our Rastafari community.
Yes, give thanks. As the Virgin just said, my name is Ras Ayali, and I've been in the forefront of this ganja struggle for years. Way back, started in 1987. But the question I would like to ask is, I being a former member of the Cannabis Licensing Authority, have been having serious confrontation with both the authority and with the government, because I don't see any of those entities having that passion and that genuine concern for grassroots and Rastafari participation, especially from an economic point of view, so that the industry could benefit us as a people, not just the privileged few who financially can afford it. But what I would like to ask, I was told that there's supposed to be some sacramental discussion taking place. So I don't know if this is the session.
This is the session.
But I would like to ask if any of the island is in dialogue, consultation, communication with the government, and if so or not so, what is the government position? I know him, but I'm playing a devil's advocate at the moment. What is the government position where sacramental rights and the opportunity for Rastafari to benefit economically from this industry, Rastafari?
Yeah, and Ras Ivy, that's what we've been talking about. Before the idea of sacramental rights, we grow our ganja both for sacramental and for commercial. Now, the government, and their claim is they're facilitators. So if I and I derive at a census whereas we tell the CLA what we want, they will then go back into themselves now and facilitate what Rastafari in general wants. But if we go there and expecting them to know what I and I want, ganja, they confuse. It's like right now, if you want to do a project in Jamaica, you can't tell the government the big plan. You have to tell them a little part, and then you grow into it. Or else it blows their mind and all they can think about is money, money, money. So to be on the CLA board with expectation for them to tell us what we need, it's a blur, because they don't know themselves. They don't have a clue what Rastafari want to see happen within the CLA, within ganja.
I just want to point out that based on the amendment, 2015 amendment, the CLA has nothing to do with sacramental rights. The sacramental rights fall directly under the Ministry
Of Justice, yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
The CLA falls under MICAF, Ministry of Industry, Commerce, Agriculture and Fisheries. Now, when it comes to the sacramental, before 2016, I'm not a politician, I've never voted, so I don't have any allegiance to neither PNP nor JLP, I just want to make that clear. But when the amendment took place 2015, there was Mark Golding, was the Minister of Justice at that time, and what he did was to set up what was known as the Rastafari Advisory Board that would advise him about the issues affecting the Rastafari community as it relates to ganja. Now, February 2016, there was an election and the JLP won, and we have tried, years upon years, we have tried to have a dialogue with the right Chuck, which did not happen. It didn't happen until 2021 when the Commissioner of Police came to the Pitford Assembly Center. Even before that, we had a meeting in Kingston that we wrote letters to the Chief Justice because obviously the judges didn't know what the amendment was saying. So we wrote to the Chief Justice asking him to advise his judges where the amendment pertains to sacramental rights and Rastafari is concerned. We wrote to the Commissioner of Police, the Minister of Justice, the Minister of National Security, and the Prime Minister. We didn't get any reply until the Commissioner of Police, October 21, came to the Pitford Assembly Center. When we reasoned with him, he said he would make sure that the next time we meet, that he would have government people at the table so they could interpret the amendment to him so he could know how to go about policing. give thanks that a meeting was set up for 2021 December. We had that meeting with Harris Chan, and the Commissioner of Police. Then the next meeting was set up for March, April, that didn't take place. One took place in June 2022. Now, after that meeting, Harris Chan said to us that he had set up a meeting with Delroy Chuck. With Delroy. So I said, you mean the Minister of Justice? He said, yes. So I said to him, Delroy Chuck don't want to meet with us. That was a Wednesday. He said, well, listen, man. Anyway, a meeting, I wasn't there, but the meeting took place the Friday. So the Wednesday we had a meeting with Harris Chan, the Friday. Now, recently we've had a dialogue through the RMO, Rastafari, a mansion and organization, which is a centralized body. We had a meeting with Delroy Chuck, and certain amount of decision was taken. Now there have been what is known as a ministerial order. I don't know if any of you know about that there is a ministerial order being put in gazetted also, put out there with a list, organization and individual. But a lot of Rastafari individuals who have been involved seriously with her, their names are not there. Organization, their names are not there. And when I read what is there in the ministerial order, it does not coincide with the discussion that we had with Delroy Chuck. So that's why I asked if any of you have been, because I have been part of that discussion. And I will tell you plain and clear, and everyone that is here listening, I am in no way satisfied with the way in which Delroy Chuck, the Minister of Justice, or the government as a whole is dealing with this. Because what they claim, sacrament, we can smoke any amount of herb, but we must benefit economically from it. And that has been a part of Rastafari income stream over the years. So you cannot know after we suffer, went to prison, you can take our produce now and put it in the hands of rich people who can afford it, and financially we can't afford it. Financially, traditional ganja farmers can't afford what is being required from a CLA point of view to participate in the industry. So it means, and I talk clear and plain, as Rastafari, there is no other way than to take the street and to put on pressure on the government that will enable I and I to benefit economically from something that we have suffered from Rastafari.
Your organization named GMO, not GS.
RMO.
The M, which one?
RMO.
Yeah. Is that a space that, because a few people have asked about who to communicate with? Is that like a number or website or a way that people can reach the RMO?
As we can talk about the RMO.
Is there
You want to elaborate on the RMO?
for people for single Rasta-minded people who want to get involved with support and being supportive to the management system?
Yeah, the
Organizations.
You want, let me.
What's that heavy? What's it on with it?
Yeah.
But for years, it has always been the desire of the Rastafari community to speak and act with one voice, because unity is strength. We know European culture and European strategy is to divide and rule. And we see that happening in Africa until today. We just see Niger just kick out France, but we see ECOWAS as an economic community of the Western African countries were willing and ready to invade Niger. So it has always been a divide and rule strategy applied by Europe and applied by the system that follows the will of our European colonizers. Now, for years, and I give thanks that I have been a part of this process, 1987, when we celebrated the centenary of Marcus Mosiah Garvey, we started out with what was called the EIUC, the Ethiopian International Unification, which was an attempt to get the Rastafari community, different houses and mansions together. After a time that went down, in 1994, we set up the RCO, which was the Rastafari Centralization Organization. After a time that went down also. And in 2007, we set up the RMC, which was the Rastafari Millennium Council. That was sabotage. Now, like I say, it was a determination that we come together as Rastafari, and just bringing you back to Africa. In 1963, even though Ethiopia and the Virgin was pointing out that Ethiopia is the only African country that was never colonized by Europe or by Islam. But His Majesty Haile Selassie was not satisfied with Ethiopia alone being independent, because he knew that that independence would not last forever if they went Ethiopia alone. So between Haile Selassie, people like Kwame Nkrumah, from the Accra Conference in 1958, the OAU was established in 1963 with 32 different independent states. So we use that as an example. Through the activities of the OAU, Africa became decolonized and politically independent. I still have a question where political independence without economic independence is concerned, because I don't think a country can be politically independent without being economically independent. Once you are dependent on any source for your income, then you are no longer independent. So we continue the journey, and so the RMO, which is Rastafari Mansion and Organization, was established on the 27th. I mean, we have been having discussion, but on the 27th of August, it was established. We had the ratification, different houses and members, about 13 houses and mansion, the Nyabingi, even though not a registered member, but it all came out of the Nyabingi. But we have School of Vision, the Bobo Shanti. We come together from a point of view that we can speak and act with one voice, because approaching the government, our international community, as a one organization will carry weight, but not the type of weight that it would carry if we went as a centralized, structured organization. So that is what the RMO, the Rastafari Mansion Organization, is all about, because we realize that there's no way, never, independence is not something that is given to you. Independence is something that you win or you take. The Haitian people did not get independence from France. They fought for it. Our people in Africa, a lot of people hate Mugabe, but I love him. Not maybe 100%, but I love him because he was one of those African countries that stood up to the Western powers, just like how Fidel Castro stood up to America and other European countries. So it's a matter for us now as a people to know that united we stand, divided we fall. So the RMO is there because we know that collectively, for us to deal with the government, we have to deal with the government with one voice as a Rastafari community, and not in a splintered way, because that will be used as an excuse to say, and that being used as an excuse to say, the Rastafari community is not united. But the GLP is not united. The PNP is not united. We have differences, but at the same time, we are united when it comes to certain things, because we all say Haile Selassie is the God in flesh and the Messiah of our time. We all seek the redemption of not only African people, but of all oppressed people, including the Palestinians. So that is what the RMO is all about.
Okay.
To enable us to speak and act with one voice.
You know, Rastafari has been taking the road several times over the years. We take the road as independent people, but the JLP and the PNP is like one state of mind, ruled by the colonial masters. See, so no matter how many years and walking the streets and advocating for freedom and everything, that's only thing happening. Nothing else is happening. Because Rastafari do not vote. And the JLP and the PNP work together for votes. No matter if it's a minority vote. Because like I said, the last election was only 37%. See, so we've been ruled now by minority government who say, sure, make the Rasta man them go march. It's not going nowhere. Nowhere at all. But if I and I put together the same amount of member of parliament it needs to take over the government running of Jamaica, it will stand and make a big noise. Because now we are politically minded. We're going to bring forward political gains, whereas we're not just sacramental gains, but we are commercial gains, because we have a voice in the running of our country. But to hug up Mark Golding for achieving only sacramental rights, and that, what is the big thing? Big thing in hugging up somebody because we get sacramental rights? Foolishness. We want commercial rights. Peter Touch burn up every day because he look for commercial rights. We going around talking about we marching every day, forming little groups where cannot vote, cannot do nothing because we don't vote. Foolishness. It's time we take a stand. We stand up and say, look here, we're voting you out and we're taking the reins of government. We're not begging for no sacramental rights. Prosperity is what we want. Yes. And if we're going around and say we don't vote, what sense it is? You can't talk to a politician because you don't have any vote, either for them or for yourself. Every time there is an election, I get nominated by 10 people and I pay the right to vote for myself. Because if I don't vote, I don't have a talk. March down the street, beating, playing the harps and things, see, it's like foolishness. Jimmy Buffett put up a Rasta image on top of his rum shops, one in Oteres, one out here, and one in inaugural. And I said to the Nayabingi, I said, let's go and chant. And we get CNN and all the groups, the news media, they come in and watch us chant down the image on top of Margaritaville rum shop. The Nayabingi man him said, boy, in 1963, they murdered us in Carl Garden because we stood up for something. And we don't want that again. I wrote to Jimmy Buffett, and he write back to Butch Stewart's son, who manages Margaritaville at the time, and tell him to take it down. And his granddaughter named Marley, out of reverence for the Honorable Robert Nesta Marley and reggae music in general. So with the stroke of a pen, they took it down. Yeah. Butch Stewart's son never talked to him for about 5 years. Meet him it's like so. In order for us to have a talk in Jamaica, we have to have political strength. And if the last time election, if all Rastafari had voted, we'd have had the majority because they only had 35%. So I am imploring all Rastafari to get enumerated and vote for the right for self. Because when you vote for yourself, you vote for something.
This has been a good meeting. I want to end this with one question from here for Pastor IRB to send us on our way, because we're sharing space and time.
Yeah, thank you everyone. Thanks for having me. My name is Michael Henry. I'm the owner and operator of Jamaica Art Gallery. I heard what you said, yeah, Mr. Black. I heard what you said by the stroke of a pen, which is the approach that I decided to take on my gallery. What I've done was associate myself and my cooperation with the academia society, where we can actually target more researches that are geared towards us building up our voice and shifting domestic policies. Because if you have someone giving you your legislation, you understand, you're not really in control. And that is where our political system has fallen short. Hence, there are so many intelligent persons in this room. Rastafari, Miss Hines, you know, she's from Canada. You know, Rastafari, Karen Francis, intelligent females, you understand? So what we want to do is we actually want to build a diaspora of these intelligent persons so that they can take part of our academic approach towards this thing, so that we can actually find suggestions that are based on populace and popular opinion from people of Jamaica. And henceforth now we form our own legislations, you know, so that we can actually effect change to our domestic policies. And that's the approach that I'm taking still.
Respect.
Final word.
Yeah, I just want to respond to what Astor Black said a while ago, in terms of approaching the struggle from a political point of view, which I am sorry, but before we can become political activists, so to speak, we have to be organized. Organized and centralized. Because when you go out there as a politician, what is it you're going, what message is it that you're going out there with your people, or to your people? And if as a movement, Rastafari is not united, what is it that you're going to present to your people? And one of the big problems that the movement has had over the years is that Rasta has become Rasta's biggest enemy. We have become our own enemies. When Europe and even the government realize that they can't fight I and win I, you know who start fight? We start fight each other. And there's a book out there called Destruction of Black Civilization by Chancellor William. It shows you how Africa was conquered by Europe because we did not believe in the unity of us as a people. So the same thing goes for Rastafari. Before we can go out there and say we're going to, and I'm going to tell you something. I used to live in Kingston, and I've been very aware. And there was a Virgin named Blackheart, and there was a Virgin named Chalai. And both of these individuals wanted to approach the movement from a political point of view. But when you look, Chalai would be down there keeping a meeting, and Blackheart would be down there keeping a meeting. And they would be running against each other in the same constituency, against a PNP and a GLP, wherein we should be having one representative in each constituency, not two Rastafari representatives in a constituency. So that's why I point the importance of being united in our approach as a movement. So again I say, you look at Farrakhan, you look at the NOI, Nation of Islam in America. They are not a political party, but they have influence and the will power. So it is in Jamaica, if I and I as Rastafari become organized in the way that I and I are supposed to, we can build power and we can run the country without being in parliament. Because if we say we want to lock down the country tomorrow, we can lock it down if we are united and organized. But without proper organization, there's no way that I and I can go. So the first step is for us to organize ourselves and to centralize ourselves, just like what His Majesty Haile Selassie said to us. Organize and centralize. That's the first.
The myth of Rastafari is not organized. That is totally a myth. Rastafari, under the banner of Rastafari, is totally together with one love. So the perpetuation of telling Rastafari that we're not united is breaking down our own autonomy. See, because when I and I go out there and say, oh, we're Rastafari, and then we go and say Rastafari is not united, it's a breakdown. If we stand up and say, yes, we are Rastafari, and we don't glorify any other party, we are Rastafari. No myth of not together, but because I don't want to go there. It's like we have to say we are united at all times. There's no such thing as not united. That's totally a myth. Not centralized. It is talking down yourself. Talking down yourself. Rastafari is organized under the banner of Rastafari. Blessed love.
Roots.
Yeah.
The Vatican is centralized and organized.
Yeah.
It has hierarchy. This is everybody together.
Together. One love.
I appreciate both of you working from different fronts in the same struggle. Let's up. Big up on this guys.
Rastafari. Man,
Not easy, you know. Because there's different kinds of soldiers, right?
man, if we keep saying, yeah,
This is something that we said in Canada at one point way back. So you know that you can go to the voter polls. You can write on your ballot that you did not present me a viable candidate.
yeah,
They have to count that.
of course,
So
of course.
why not have Rastafari do that?
Because they don't vote.
Because you
They
know,
don't even
but
vote.
if they know that by going
Yeah.
and not selecting a candidate,
Yeah.
they are speaking. They're going to be heard
Yeah,
collectively.
yep,
And that they have to go back to this, they have to start all over.
Yep.
They have to get a new candidate, a new platform,
exactly, exactly.
which then makes room
Of course,
for.
because that's
You understand? You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Like, there is a way of doing it without
Yeah.
conforming and proving.
yeah,
But you're at least saying, I got up, I made my way there, I spent my little money on a
Yeah.
taxi, I took my day, I lost pay, I went and I did it, and you didn't give me anybody to vote for.
you see it? That's
See
why.
how that's a big voice.
Yep.
When collective.
I'll be right back.
Yeah.
Your footage, whatever the agreements would be, just as an option.
Well, yeah, just, let's keep in touch with you, exchange information.
Yeah, that's
Where you live? What's up, boss? Back to work?
Yeah.
Where from here?
Yeah, man. What are you doing now?
Is the Empress in town?
No, not till next
the US
week.
right now?
Yeah,
Oh, cool.
Next week. Yeah.
Good, so you don't have no distractions, just...
Yeah. You see,
That's related?
yeah, man. You know, this is even him was on the CLA board,
Right.
and him and another Rasta brethren was on the CLA board. And what members of the CLA board were telling me that they argue amongst themselves more than the whole vibe.
Unity takes a lot of humility.
Yeah.
Because guess what? Not everyone can be leaders.
True.
Now.
Right.
Here now.
Yeah.
So if everyone wants to be the face and the voice, and it's not going to work this way. But there's a lot of ways to fight, to struggle.
Yeah.
So I think they're all important.
Yeah.
I think you have to do what you're doing.
Yeah.
He has to do what he's doing.
Yeah.
And eventually it's going to come together. in the middle.
Yeah,
But
man.
this is grassroots.
Yeah.
It's not one tree.
True.
With the grass covering the whole ground.
Yeah. I just tired of the
I know.
them saying we're not together when
I grew up Catholic.
Yeah.
They're very together. They're very united. They're very centralized.
Yes,
very organized.
Yep. Follow
It's a
the
big
one
mafia.
rule.
It's a big mafia.
Yeah.
You don't want that.
Exactly.
I think things like that always end up like that. You know?
Yes.
And then you look at things with less structure. I mean, that's what attracts me to Rastafari. It's not centralized.
Man.
As a religion.
Yeah.
There's no wrong way to do it.
Yeah.
Nice.